Hey Shim, thanks for joining us today, and congratulations on your upcoming graduation from dental hygiene school.
Thank you for having me here today.
Absolutely. We know it's a really busy time of year and you have a lot going on. So we're glad that you had some time to join us and share your story. Everybody that has heard your story has agreed that it's remarkable, and remarkable that you've landed in this place here at this particular time. And so can you tell us a little bit about your childhood?
Yes, and as a refugee kid and most refugee kids out there, our lives are just basically just running wild, just playing around with our friends, not knowing where and what type of environment that we're in. We're not exposed to a lot of high technologies here in the United States or most developed countries. So we make of the most of what we have, and we're just playing around with each other and having fun. And most of the times we are skipping school, but don't tell the faculties that. And we are just having a great time. And the most memorable time that I do remember growing up as a kid is when we're together as a family or just people around the neighborhood, just whether it's just watching soccer or just after a rain, we get together and just tell stories and tell folklores. Like the eldest people in that group would tell the stories and we'd just be there listening. That was kind of our TV time.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing opportunity to have experienced all that. And of course, being able to wake up every morning with my mother and also brothers and sisters, and going to their farmland, trying to produce food in order for us to eat. And along with that, I was going through a pain dental problem as well, not being able to have fun like the other kids, but I was having fun, but at the same time, I was going through pain as well.
Some pain.
Yeah.
And so about how old were you at that time when you were dealing with these dental problems?
I'll say I was 3 years old when I was dealing with that problem, and it just stayed on persistently.
Okay, so it started when you were really young. Can you describe it a little bit? Like, were you able to eat, or did the pain affect what you could eat and what you could do on a daily basis?
Yes, the pain was just there, sharp and persistent. I couldn't begin to describe to you the type of pain that I was feeling, but at the same time, it was like you took these 100 needles and just kept poking on you, or just any sensitive part of your skin just constantly, and you're just sitting there just wondering, like, when is this gonna stop? Like, you would think, oh, it's gonna stop in a few minutes, but it just continues on and continues on. It's just something that just continued to progress. And I would avoid eating some type of food because it would, make it more sensitive. And also, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night because, like, laying there on the bed and feeling that pain, there's no way one could like fall into a nice restful sleep. So I would just be staring at the wall or just being there.
Yeah, that's terrible, and especially for a little boy.
Yeah.
It doesn't, because I'm guessing you didn't have any idea what was wrong. Did you guys have access to any kind of dental treatment?
No, we didn't have any access to dental treatment. All that we did have was just a toothbrush and Colgate, but toothbrushes that have already worn out, toothbrushes that, usually sometimes it wasn't toothpaste. We just use just water and just a toothbrush. That's it, and nothing that we were doing we knew about. We didn't know a lot about oral health, and what we were doing was just what was passed down from previous generation, just brushing your teeth, but we didn't know why, and we didn't know the reason why behind that we were doing.
And so were you ever able to go to any kind of dental clinic or anything like that to seek treatment? Or
I wasn't able to go to any dental treatment, but usually there was groups that came to our country, like close to the refugee camp, that would provide dental care once a year. And I remember this one time, me and my mom and my grandmother walked for 4 hours just to get there and be able to get that treatment. And unfortunately, we were sent back home after waiting there for the whole day to get that treatment because they ran out of supplies. And so we had to walk back, and everybody that was there, which was over 100 people, were just waiting to get the same answers that I went there to get, but unfortunately they weren't able to receive that. But at the same time, I'm sure each and every one of them were hopeful that if it wasn't this year's, it was gonna be the next year.
Was that your attitude at the time?
Yes.
Were you hopeful? I think a lot of us would have been really discouraged.
Growing up like that, and in those type of environment as refugee, like you get to have different perspective in life, and even though you may not get what you want in that moment, we just have faith and are hopeful that the following year will be better, and are hopeful that maybe like at some point along our lives, like there will be like a better time.
I think we could definitely all learn something from that for sure. So it sounds like the many years of your childhood, you dealt with this pain, this dental pain. When did you guys move to the U.S.? How old were you at that time?
When we moved to the United States, I was around 8 or 9.
Okay.
And we moved here in 2007 in September.
Okay.
And when I came here, I had not received dental treatment. And I later, after arriving to the United States, after a couple years, I received the dental treatment, but where I was treated, they never really educated me about why I was going through that pain. They never educated me about how to brush properly and floss, and telling me how the things that I do eat and the form of food and sugar that I do consume affects the pain that I was feeling. And they only filled my teeth with composites and sealants. And I felt like I was left in the darkness the same way that I was left in Africa, because I also lived in an underprivileged community and neighborhood. And oral health the knowledge about oral health isn't there the same way as it isn't there in Africa. So there was huge difference in that. And so I feel like when I came here, I really was expecting a lot. I was expecting to be relieved of the pain, but I didn't get that.
You didn't get the full spectrum of care that you expected.
Yes.
They treated it, but didn't necessarily give you any preventative advice or how to take care of yourself from there on out.
Yes.
Okay. So did any of that affect your decision to pursue dental hygiene, or how did you know, or when did you know that you wanted to pursue something in the dentistry field?
I knew it was about when I was between 7th and 8th and 9th grade year. Like it's always been in my head to be like, because what I've gone through and the experience and the pain that I've felt, it's always in me to be like, why is this only happening to me? Is this only happening to me, specifically me, and why? And why was this happening? And that's what got me interested in knowing all that, because I wanted to understand more about my pain, understand more about why all this was happening. And the knowledge for me wasn't there since I was in Africa, and then coming here and understanding like in areas that are underprivileged, the knowledge isn't still there, and the prevention on things that can be prevented isn't like being taught in underprivileged communities, and I wanted to go into this field and be able to provide the oral health education, and also being able to spread the knowledge about oral health, because knowledge is power. It's prevention is key, and I believe that everybody should have the right to understand more about their oral health.
Absolutely. Well, what has it been like now to be able to be in the position you are, and now you're able to administer treatment and begin educating people?
Oh, it feels great being able to be the one that's providing the care, because recently, last summer, I got the opportunity to go back to Africa in Zambia and provide dental and dental hygiene care to people of Ndola. And after returning to the continent after about 10 years, it felt great just being able to just be back on the continent and be able to see the people, because like when I arrived there, they're like, oh, he's one of us. Like
it makes a difference.
Yes, they welcome me as their own, and I was happy to be able to provide the treatment that I was able to provide. Like every time that I saw them there and waiting in line, I saw myself in line previously, because I was in their position, and every time they would come to see me, I was grateful that I was able to provide this service to them, and that made me really happy. And also at the same time, when we couldn't get the treatment to most of the people, like that made me sad as well, because I wanted everybody to get that treatment and not be sent home just like I was sent home. So it was an amazing opportunity to do so.
That's great. I'm happy you got to go back. That sounds like an incredible experience, and I know that the people there were well served by you and happy to see you. So what are your plans for the future?
My plan for the future is to pursue a career in public health. I want to continue to spread oral health in underprivileged communities and neighborhood, and just expanding it to people around the world. It's not only me going back to Africa and providing just oral health on those population only, but people here, because even here there's a lot of people that just need that information, and also people in Africa, people in Asia, around the world. That's my main goal, is just being able to just spread that information.
Well, that's great. We certainly appreciate your hard work, and we wish you the very best in the years ahead.
Thanks
for being here today.